Today on Sugar Spun Run, I'll be showing you how to make a homemade peanut butter pie. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am really excited to be sharing this recipe with you. This is not a new recipe for Sugar Spun Run. If you follow the blog, maybe you've already seen it because it's been around on my website for I think 2 years now. It's really simple, it's homemade, we're not using any Cool Whip here today. I think you're going to love it, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, we are going to be making our own Oreo crust for this recipe. So we're going to start with 24 Oreo sandwich cookies, and I'm going to be placing them in a food processor. Obviously, that was not 24. All right, now we're just going to need to attach the lid, and we're just going to pulse the cookies with our food processor until they form coarse crumbs, or actually fine crumbs. And as you saw, we didn't remove any of the filling from the inside of the cookies. I get asked that a lot, if you need to remove the cream. You don't. Okay, so once your cookies are nicely crushed, you want to make sure that you have nothing but crumbs in here. So that looks pretty good. So now we will add our butter. This is going to be what helps hold our crust together in the pie plate. You are going to need 5 tablespoons of melted butter. You can use salted or unsalted, just use whatever you have on hand. Today I think I am using unsalted. I think because my husband got it out for me, and usually I keep unsalted in the fridge, so hopefully I'm right. We're just going to pulse again with our food processor until the butter is completely incorporated. All right, our cookie crumbs are nice. They're wet looking from the butter. Everything's nicely incorporated. So now we're going to need our pie plate. You will need a 9.5-inch or 10-inch pie plate for today's recipe. And then we'll pour our crumbs into our pie plate. And then you'll want to press these crumbs firmly into the bottom and up the sides of the pie plate. I am going to use a spoon to do this. And you want to just make it as even as possible. To help make the top of the crust a little bit stable, I just like to use my fingers to gently tamp down or pat down the top of that crust. Just helps to pack it in a little bit so it's less likely to crumble when you cut into the pie. There's usually a little bit of crumbling anyway, but this at least helps to minimize it. All right, so this is a no-bake recipe, of course, so we do not need to bake our crust. We're just going to pop this in the fridge or in the freezer while we prepare our peanut butter filling. Now to make our filling, we are going to be starting with cream cheese. You will need 12 ounces of cream cheese, and you want this to be softened so that it nicely incorporates with the rest of the ingredients and you have a smooth, lump-free filling. Now, this is a full-fat cream cheese. I do not recommend using a low-fat cream cheese, and I don't recommend using the kind that comes in a tub, the spreadable kind, just because your peanut butter pie will not firm up properly if you use one of those. Now, I'm just going to be adding these to a large bowl. Next, we need our peanut butter. This is 1.5 cups of creamy peanut butter. I guess you could do crunchy peanut butter if you want. That might be a little bit weird texture-wise, but whatever you like. Waste any of that and get it all in there. Next, you're going to want to grab an electric mixer. You could do this recipe without one, but it's going to be a lot more work that way. So grab your electric mixer, or you could do this in your stand mixer, and beat your cream cheese and peanut butter together until they're nice and smooth. I always grab a bowl that's too small. So I'm just going to scrape the bowl, make sure I got everything pretty well combined. Looks pretty good. And now I'm going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar. You actually need 2 1/4 cups of powdered sugar for this recipe, at least for the filling. Right now we are just using 1 cup. We'll also add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm going to use my electric mixer to cream everything together in a second, but because I'm using a really small bowl and don't want everything, all my powdered sugar, to go flying everywhere, I'm just going to start by trying to work this together by hand a little bit. Hopefully that saves me some mess. All right, now let's grab the mixer and stir everything together and hope that I don't end up wearing all of this powdered sugar. So at this point, we can set our peanut butter mixture aside and we are going to make our whipped cream. Now, one thing I love about this recipe is we are not using store-bought Cool Whip. We are making our own whipped cream from scratch, which tastes so much better. Now, you are going to need 1.5 cups of cold, heavy cream or whipping cream, or if you're not in the US, it might be called double cream. We're going to add this to a large bowl. And I have learned from my mistakes, so we are using an extra large bowl this time. Now you should have 1 1/4 cups of powdered sugar left. We're going to add this in with our cream. Now grab your electric mixer, and we're going to start by stirring everything together on low speed. This just keeps the powdered sugar from flying everywhere, which I hate. And then once everything is combined, we will gradually increase the speed to high, and we are going to whip this cream until it forms stiff peaks. It should have a thick, billowy consistency, very similar to Cool Whip, but it tastes a lot better. This looks pretty good, but I'm gonna take it just a little bit further. All right, so we have our nice billowy consistency here. So typically I would be adding this whipped cream to our peanut butter mixture, but since that bowl is too small, we're going to add our peanut butter mixture in with our whipped cream. We'll use our mixer again in a second, but because we don't want to over whip our ingredients, we don't want to start breaking down the cream and making it deflate, I'm just going to start by using my spatula to combine the whipped cream and the peanut butter mixture. Just gently folding the two together. I'd say this is about 50% combined at this point, so I'll grab my electric mixer and I'll just stir everything on low speed until it's completely combined. Just going to check with my spatula one more time to make sure we didn't miss anything on the sides or on the bottom. So this is looking pretty good, nice and smooth. So you're going to want to grab your pie crust out of the fridge or out of the freezer, and we'll just pour our peanut butter pie filling into our pie crust. I always try to pour this with the bowl facing you guys, but my arm just does not bend that way. Now just use your spatula to smooth the surface of the pie. It smells so good. Now you can take this pie over to your fridge where you can chill it in the refrigerator for about 4 to 6 hours, or preferably overnight for it to firm up. The consistency will still be pretty soft. It's definitely firmer than a pudding. It's kind of similar to my no-bake cheesecake in consistency. Now what you can also do if you want to eat it a little bit sooner is you can pop it in the freezer where it will take about 3 hours or so to firm up. Now whichever one you do is fine. It just depends on if you like a firmer frozen consistency or if you like it a little bit softer. All right, so after a night in the fridge or a couple hours in the freezer, our peanut butter pie is ready to slice and serve. Now, sometimes I like to decorate mine with some whipped cream. That's super easy to make. You already saw us make it earlier on, and I will write down in the printable recipe below exactly how to make that if you want to do so. Today, we are just going to be enjoying this as is. You do want to make sure that your knife cuts all the way through the crust. A lot of times when people cut a pie like this, they only cut down to the crust. They stop once their knife hits that resistance from the crust. Cut all the way through or your crust is going to stick to your pie plate. Whoa, so that was a little bit more aggressive than I meant to be, but since my peanut butter pie was in the freezer, it actually held its shape pretty well. If yours was in the fridge, you'd probably have a little bit more of a mess on your hands right now. But anyway, that's how easy it is to make peanut butter pie at home. Now, as you can see, if you put it in the freezer, it's nice and sturdy. I hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. I want to thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you try this recipe out, please leave a comment. I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. That's good.